When you came here at 15, did you speak English?
No.
You didn't speak any English?
Nothing.
You speak English perfectly now.
When you're sick, you just go to the hospital and someone is there. But when you're about to die or to leave your family behind without expense, no one is there. So there's a lot of need in the other end.
And no, it didn't matter how cold the water was. We all went in the water. And then when I moved by the beach, I'm like, I go in the water in August only. It's too cold.
At the end of the day, you're just a number. That's something that I was always in the back of my mind. You're just a number. I need to find something better. And I always felt that I could do something more.
It's not like, working as a nurse or even a doctor or something else. It's like whatever your life is starting, it's the same thing in 20 years.
I think it's good and I think it's bad.
A new agent, let's say I'm just getting started. Let's talk about the Latino community if it's any different. And I want to get started and I want to issue $22,000 in a month. What would you tell me to do?
I would say,
welcome to my show of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, where we hear from regular people who got tired of living their ordinary lives and were not afraid to make that jump.
You gotta be different. You can't be doing what everyone else is doing. You gotta create action. You gotta create momentum. So I'm looking for demand and I'm looking for mentorship because I wanted to know everything my mentor knew.
People who are just like you and me.
Hello, my name is David Price. Welcome to another episode of Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things. I'm here with Miss Irasema in Orlando, Florida. She's going to tell us how she transitioned from being the personal assistant of stars to being an insurance agent, serving the Latino community, issuing over $22,000 in business last month. Absolutely killing it, just getting started. She told me she's going to be breaking a lot more records and doing a lot more amazing things. So super pumped about that. But what I'm really pumped about is to hear how she got in this business and what her life looked like before insurance. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem. I'm really glad you came here all the way from we're in California. Where are you at in California?
Palmdale,
California.
the middle of nowhere.
The middle of nowhere. So California is such a big state. What I like about California, I haven't been there a lot, right? So I can't act like I know too much, but you guys have so many different things. Right? There's mountains in California, right? It gets cold in California. Then they have like the best weather in the world in California.
It is.
They got the beach, right?
And Palmdale is basically the desert. So whenever I want to go to the beach, I just have to do the drive. And, we have the traffic. So
how far is the beach from you?
I'm going to say like an hour and 30 or 2 hours.
So like 5 miles? Like 5 miles, but it takes an hour because of the traffic.
Yeah, it's really bad. But, we get used to it.
That's awesome. I'm from New Jersey. So I used to live in North Jersey. And when we went to the beach, we would call it, we're going to the shore. And it would be like an hour. And I remember being a kid and being in the car, and we didn't have air conditioning at the time, right? Everyone didn't have air conditioning back in like the 80s or early 90s, or at least only the rich people did, I feel like. But I remember like sitting in traffic, everyone's trying to get to the shore or get to the beach, and super excited to go there. And no, it didn't matter how cold the water was. We all went in the water. And then when I moved by the beach, I'm like, I go in the water in August only. It's too cold. So do you get to the beach a lot?
I do. That's where I work. So I do enjoy it, especially just because where I live is really hot. So just driving and having a nice weather, it's nice, especially when you are on the field.
Absolutely. Yeah, I lived in Louisiana for 7 years. And actually one of the reasons I got my insurance license is because I got tired of not living by the beach. And I was trying to find a business that could live anywhere. So that's actually really one of the reasons I got my insurance license. I was looking at different things. And insurance just fit everything that I wanted to give me the freedom. And I got my insurance license in May and moved to Florida July 1st.
My birthday.
July 1st?
Yeah.
Mine's July 8th. So we're both cancers, right? Awesome.
So we love the water.
That's it. We do love the water. You got to be, there's crabs, right? Sidestepping crabs. So you live in California now. But you were born in Mexico, right?
I was born in Mexico. I actually came when I was 15 years old. And I came without anything. I crossed the border like any other immigrant. And I was able to fix my situation. I went to high school. And then I got married. I actually went for nursing. And it was a disappointment. So I looked for something better, which was working for families, private, because that pays more. But at the end of the day, you're just a number. That's something that I was always in the back of my mind. You're just a number. I need to find something better. And I always felt that I could do something more. I feel like I was underpaid, and just being attached to a paycheck and having to be there, someone actually telling me what to do. That's something that I always struggle with.
I mean, you're definitely a hard worker. I mean, I see one, I feel your energy, right? And I know your attitude and stuff like that. But, just, saying, you crossed the border, got, went through the right processes to fix your status. What is it called? Status?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the politically correct term.
Immigration status.
Immigration status. And then going from there to becoming a nurse.
Nurse, yeah.
And my fiance, she's a nurse. So she wasn't a nurse when we met, and I seen the process. I seen all that schooling she went to and working while she was going to school, all the process, the tests, the late nights, and all that stuff. So I firsthand seen it without actually having to do it. And then as soon as she became a nurse, she's going to school now to be a registered nurse.
Oh,
She didn't even quit. I'm like, you're going to just keep going to school? I was like, what? You should probably be a doctor then.
Yeah. I try to consider to go back to school and, for a better pay, but just thinking that you're going to have a loan. That's something that it's hard. It's hard to, be in debt and not being able to pay it off.
No, I agree. And it's funny because she started the process of being a nurse long before insurance was even on my radar. And so she seen me say, hey, I'm going to get my insurance license. Well, she's like, well, my goal is to be a nurse. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I get my insurance license and I start hiring her friends. And she's like, well, how did Bianca do last month? I was like, oh, she made like $8,000. She's like, what? Meanwhile, she's going to school to be a nurse, right? So then she finally becomes a nurse and she realizes that she's not really being paid compared to, some of my agents and, especially myself. I know she tells her friends, like, yeah, David makes more in a month than I do all year.
Yeah.
But it's still, it's being a nurse, definitely, I've seen the work that it takes, and you're definitely a hard worker. When you came here at 15, did you speak English?
No.
You didn't speak any English?
Nothing.
You speak English perfectly now.
Oh, I have an accent, but I try to do my best.
It's very subtle.
Yeah, so I came to straight to high school, and I was actually working on the weekends. Don't ask me how we communicate with the clients, but I was actually working on the weekends. So I have been working since I was 13. So I always try to do better in life. I always knew that I could do something more than just, settle yourself with some type of job.
You're a superstar. So became a nurse. You're working at some
urgent care.
Urgent care.
Yeah.
And you hated it.
I hated the hours, not the work that I would do,
Okay.
because I love doing stitches and blood and everything that has to do with critical stuff. But just the fact that you are 12 hours there and that you have to go through a lot. And I felt that I was underpaid. I didn't feel that I was valued as everything that I invested. I remember going to sleep at 3 a.m. and I would work full time. I would work 9 hours and then go to school at night and not being able to see my kids for a year because I have 2 kids. Sacrificing my kids basically over my career and feeling that I wasn't getting paid what I deserved. It was hard. It was hard.
And then, so I'm glad you recognize that, right? Because a lot of people, they don't recognize it. They get just like stuck. Like, nope, this is the norm, or they, they're just okay with it. So that's good that you didn't. And then from there, you went into private sector, and you want to be? You became a personal assistant to some celebrities, right? Which we can't name, right? But they're pretty famous celebrities, so that's really awesome. So did you decide like I was going to be a personal assistant, or they're looking for nurses, and then that's what they morphed into?
No, I was actually, I believe in affirmations. I believe on the law of attraction. I love to read and kind of like learning how to manifest and affirmations. And I always wanted, like, I always put it out there in the universe. Like I described the job that I wanted where I could feel at least, happier. And that's how I came to work with, famous people. And I was happy. I was happy in the sense of getting paid. I think I was getting paid good compared to other people. My mom would tell me, like, you're crazy if you're planning to leave that job. You should take care of it. Be nice to them, like, don't miss, like all these things, just because it was a really good job. But that's when I started on 2014, when I graduated as a nurse. One of my high school friends, he introduced me to insurance in the wrong place, I'm going to say. So I couldn't become full-time. And I knew that I wanted to do it in the sense of wanting to help people to be in a better position. And I knew that I found it through being a nurse. But I always knew that when you're sick, you just go to the hospital and someone is there. But when you're about to die or to leave your family behind without expense, no one is there. So there's a lot of need in the other end. That's how I did my transition in insurance. And that's when COVID hit. That's when I became full-timer doing insurance.
So, wow. So this wasn't even long ago. So how long did you have your license?
I got it on 2014.
Okay.
I had a really bad experience at the company that I was. I was like, I'm going to go all in. I dropped my job out of nowhere. Like, I'm going to go all in. And
they told you to go all in.
Yeah.
And they didn't really have a system with you how to go all in.
Yeah.
Though, right.
So it wasn't what I expected. Mm-hmm. So I decided I was disappointed and I went back to work. And I said, well, maybe this is not for me, but I always knew that I wanted to do something like that. And that's when I met Leslie Rios. And since then, I have been working with her, but I actually lost my license. I didn't renew it because I was disappointed. So when I was working for this famous singer, that's when I was actually working on my license. And that's how I did my transition. But I always knew that I wanted to do insurance.
That's awesome. I mean, it's what I'm loving about this story so far is like you just don't settle.
I don't. I'm always hungry. And I think it's good and I think it's bad. Good because you're so into it. Mm-hmm. That's all you have in the back of your mind. Like, I just want to do this. I just want to do this. How can I get better myself? How can I put my family in a better position? And, sometimes my husband is like, hey, relax. It's not all the time about work. Like, just breathe, just 5 minutes for yourself. And yeah, but I think this is just the beginning. I'm so excited.
I get the same thing all the time. This year, I'm definitely a lot better, a lot more present than previous years. My first year, like, I was absent, right? I sat my girl down and said, hey, listen, this year I'm going to be working. That's it. Like, I'm going to work as much as I can. Like, hey, it's Saturday. You want to go to the beach this Saturday? Like, no, I'm working. And
it's hard, right? When you say that.
It is. But, now she understands it, right? Now, I'm like, all right, cool. December, we need a trip. Where are we going? Costa Rica? Give me some dates. Now that the freedom's there. But it wasn't. So it's there's an end game to it. Right. It's not like, working as a nurse or even a doctor or something else. It's like whatever your life is starting, it's the same thing in 20 years.
Right.
Where with this, it's like, OK, cool. Let me commit, for a year, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So the rest of my life is really easy and really free. And that's what I love about the insurance game.
I always say that you have to sacrifice first in order to deserve.
That's it. Simple.
Yeah.
Simple.
You have to put in the work.
So many people are the opposite, right?
Right.
Have you hired some insurance agents, I'm sure? Yes.
Yeah. And, they're pumped and they're like, oh, I'm all in. But then they put the excuse that, oh, my family or my kids. And I'm like,
well, that's why you have to work.
Yeah. Like, I was there. So when I didn't want to do anything, I used my family as an excuse. Like, you know what? My kids. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, no. I talk to my kids and my husband. They're very supportive. They know why I'm doing this. Like, it's a family business. It's not about myself. I always tell my kids, this is for you. I'm working because we want to leave this behind for you. And my husband, he's actually getting licensed as well. And my kids already told them, if you don't want to go to college, that's fine. But you work with me or you're going to find a job or you're going to be a slave. And that's okay if you want to experience that. Like, I will support whatever you want to do. But I always say, hey, you have this door open where you can work 3 years. I know right now it's great for business, but 3-4 years is going to be even better. So for someone that is going to be 18, 3-4 years from now is going to be a really good opportunity compared to how it was before for me, speaking for myself. So I always tell my kids, you can sacrifice 3-4 years of your life and you're going to be settled for the rest of your life. You can do whatever you want.
It's better than sacrificing 3 or 4 years for college, right?
Right.
you go to college for 4 years, you come out with a degree, you really hit this hard for 4 years.
And you need experience. They're going to tell you need experience in order to get paid, a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly. So you did 22,000 your first month with us, which is amazing. And I think you're still kind of part-time when you did that.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Kind of part-time. Yeah. I can always say you will never do full-time here. You do part-time and you get paid way more than, working overtime somewhere else.
Right.
So, yeah.
So what are some strategies and how would a new agent, let's say I'm just getting started, let's talk about the Latino community if it's any different, and I want to get started and I want to issue $22,000 in a month. What would you tell me to do?
I would say be committed, listen to your upline or coach, and try to put everything behind us. Put your head down and go to work. Even if families are going to come to you, they're going to say, there is party, there is, a get together. If you focus on the goal, forget about the distractions. Because eventually, if you have a good week and then you have some distraction, then you're going to go back. So you have to really focus and make the decision that if you really want to make the change, it comes from within. You have to put all the excuses aside and then put in the work. And I'm not telling you go work 8 hours. If you're in the field, book your appointments and at least go on the field with 13 appointments, 8 to 13. That's what I do. I try to book myself one after like every hour. That's when I book my appointments. And if I have no show, that's good because I get to at least eat something. Right. But I try to run all day if I'm on the field. And then, of course, you're not going to put in 8 hours. You're going to put in 10 maybe, but it's worth it.
Absolutely. And then how many days a week do you do that?
That's part-time. I do it 3 days out of the week.
3 days a week.
And I try to, I do work a lot with the Latino community. That's my like 99%. That's my clientele, Latinos. So I try to get a lot of referrals, especially because I do face-to-face. I do want to be at least, 2 days on the field and do my transition to do telesales. But I love being face-to-face just because I can ask for referrals. And I want people to get to know, like, I'm going to be your agent for the rest of your life. And not only for you, but for your family members. Whoever you know, refer me. So I do get a lot of referrals. And that's when I work from home, the referrals.
Awesome. So I know you got some telesales training with Bianca just recently. How did that go?
Oh, my gosh. She's amazing. I'm like so excited to go home and try some lifestyles. She's awesome. Really amazing. Yeah, so now I know why she's the number one.
Now you know why. That's it. Yeah. Didn't take long, huh?
Right. She's awesome.
She's like a heat-sinking missile, right? She just...
And her tone is just like, oh my God, I love it. Yeah, I love it.
She does a great job. So she's
amazing.
Well, it's been great having you. Really appreciate you coming out all the way out here from California.
Thank you.
It's definitely wasn't a short drive. Is there any other thing that you want to share before we end this? That if there's a lot of new agents watching or agents watching that are just getting started, or maybe agents that like yourself, like I guess the craziest thing in this whole story is one, you're a beast. You're amazing at what you do, but you actually had an insurance license that you let expire.
Yeah.
Right. So like, just think if you never tried again, that would have been your story. Your story was like, I got my license. It didn't work for me.
Something that I have in the back of my mind when I started on insurance, and I remember one of the mentors that said, as long as you don't quit, you will get there. And that's what I was like, okay, this is like a reset, but I'm going to go all in. And when you decide that you really want to change your life, and when you put that responsibility on yourself, that no one is responsible for your future other than yourself, that's when you're going to put all the excuses aside and you're going to do whatever it takes to get there, because you don't have a paycheck backing you up. I don't come from a wealthy family, so I know that I have to put in the work. And having that responsibility that it's only me, that's what makes the difference. And I feel that when you put excuses or when you have a backup plan, that's when you decide not to do it, or why you shouldn't move forward, or why you shouldn't get out of your comfort zone, because this is like constantly grow. You have to be growing. You have to, a lot of people read, a lot of people like podcasts, whatever you like, just do it. And I would say just don't quit. Don't quit and just put in the work. No excuses.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much again. I really appreciate you. Thank you. That's another episode of Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things with David Price. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and put some stuff in the comments. If there's something that you want to see that I haven't made yet, let me know so I can make it and help you become a very successful agent. Have a wonderful day.